After this year, I'll deliver the message, innit?
You can talk on the side. We're talking about India. India.
Content over everything.
So you go with Baji over here. We got Sikh circle for once. One, 2, 3, 4. This guy here, he's a Sikh, he's a Sikh.
Right, do you know what I noticed about YouTube comments? We both get the same insult, raghead.
Do we?
Yeah.
Not
both get called raghead.
This is why.
But my rag looks better, man.
Hold on. My one looks. Nah, look how neat that is. Look how neat that is.
Look how neat this is.
No. This takes technique. That takes technique.
I got the.
We're gonna do a face-off. We're gonna do a face-off on turpentine. A face-off on turpentine. We're gonna do a turpentine face-off.
I need a mirror.
No, you don't need a mirror. Let's just do it. Look how neat that is.
A friend of mine asked me for a tutorial how to do it, and I caught the video actually.
Come on, man.
Why? Do you want to go for this style?
No, but can we talk about that though in the future? Because one of the insults that people give to me is about raghead. Like the Prophet Muhammad wore a turban.
Yeah.
So I find that so strange. It's like you're cursing yourself.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later on.
Even before the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in like if you look at the time of Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, son of Mary, peace upon him, even the people around that time place, they had turbans as well.
Yeah, the turban isn't.
It's from the Middle East.
Yeah, the turban is not just belong to Sikhs. We call it a dastar, which is slightly different.
Yeah.
But the actual turban is from India, is way before, and from the Arabs and stuff like that.
It's from the Middle East.
So when people say, I'm so glad you said that because I thought I was the only one that gets the raghead comment.
I get called raghead as well. Abdul Hakim gets called raghead.
I know, but you're insulting your own prophet. You're insulting the own prophet. Yeah, stop saying that.
We know what we need. We need a speaker's corner. We need a speaker's corner museum.
Yeah.
Me and Abdul Hakim need to donate one of our scarves. Yeah.
We need to have a face-off, turpentine face-off.
Yeah.
And let's judge. I think Mama might win. Look at those straight lines. Look at those straight lines.
Look at this one.
Nah,
this one protects your neck from the sun, and it's got the tassels as well.
But dude, I can do that
you
as well.
You have to put pins in it to hold it
Dude,
together.
I can
Mine's
do that
just
as well.
one goal,
I can
man.
do that
Mine's
as well.
sick. Mine's better, man.
Oh, well, let's go on.
How many wives can you have if you're Sikh?
Only one. I'll let these guys get how many?
If you can provide, you have the wealth and you have the stability and the sustenance, then you can take on a wife.
This is about grooming. They groom people. They talk about
Raj grooms people.
Yeah, don't say that.
This one's wondering how to attack the line.
We need. This is a Sikh circle now, so you need to move, man.
Bro, you're just jealous. My rag's better than yours.
We don't need any more Muslims in here. Come on, let's get the Sikhs in. Come on, move.
My rag is better than his.
No. All right, so so what we're gonna, I don't know if you perceive or not. Where's Leon?
Is the one that's
Is it recording? Do me a favour, ask Leon if it's recording first.
Yeah, it's recording.
No, just double check. No, just double check. I don't trust anyone.
If it says recording on it, it's recording.
All right. So what we're going to do here, we're at a Sikh circle, and today it is really a Sikh circle. There's a Sikh here, there's a Sikh there, there's a Sikh here, there's a Sikh here. So we have a circle for once, thank God. And we've got 2 more Sikhs over there somewhere, so we might need to bring them down. So the other thing is, big up Tommy Robinson, he's been freed. Hip hip hooray. So, Tommy Robinson's been freed. So all that hard work that we put in to kind of get him freed, and everyone was saying he's not gonna be freed, and so I just want to say congratulations. We got Bilal at the back. Congratulations to everybody for all the protests and for all the hard work of getting him out, and it did pay off. I do believe that with all the pressure from everybody, I think the government finally saw sense and decided to let him out. All right, so let's go back to something a bit more less controversial. What we're going to talk about today is India, and the reason I'm going to speak about it because I do a joke video called "I'm an Indian, I'm ashamed of you."
Where is it?
And so everyone thinks I hate India or I hate Indians. I don't. I just hate that particular Indian, and I use him as my kind of like berate. I berate him over India. Now, my biggest problem with India isn't the Indian subcontinent, because I think we've got a beautiful history, and something about India is amazing. We've got like a 7,000-8,000 year history that we should all be proud of as a collective. But I do have a problem with India as a country from 1947. Do you kind of understand why I might have that issue, or you haven't got an issue with India as a concept, as a country, how it's formed now? You got freakish move.
I have a problem with India being part of the Commonwealth. I don't think if you are an independent country, which I don't think India is, it shouldn't be part of the Commonwealth, because being part of the Commonwealth denotes that you are still part of the British Empire. Yeah. And if you take, for example, 1984, the attacks by Indira Gandhi's government, she did seek assistance from the British establishment. Or in particular, I believe the MI5 agent went over to India to advise them on the attack. Right. So just to clarify, the Indian Constitution, or the formation of it, states that it was given permission through a British Parliamentary Act to declare itself a external state of the British system. Yeah. So there's nothing legally or anything that I can find that India is an independent country. I believe that it's still, in a backward way, a part of the British Empire.
Yeah, I mean, we will talk about 1984 in another video. So 1984 is when the Sikhs were attacked at the Golden Temple, and it was attacked by the Indian government, which resulted in the Indira Gandhi's assassination and the murder of like 10,000 or above Sikhs, and there's not been no justice for that. That's a much more complicated situation that I would like more Sikhs to kind of discuss, because just having two of us on such a difficult subject is probably a little few more. So what I was trying to say about India, the reason why I always say I'm Punjabi, a lot of people probably realise I always say I'm Punjabi, but I'm not Indian. And the reason I say that is because I don't agree with India. Remember, Punjab is part of India as a country, but I don't agree with the way India was set up in 1947 and the way the borders and everything, all the borders and everything were kind of drawn up.
So who did the drawing up? The British establishment?
Yeah, it was a British establishment. I've forgotten the guy's name. The guy had never even been India. And he kind of like drew up India, Pakistan and Bangladesh without ever visiting the place, from my understanding. And so he did it according to water supplies and stuff like this, rather than maybe taking into consideration the religion and people's cultural background. So, which is why Punjab is now split in half. The real Punjab in India is still part of India, and the other Punjab, which is the real Punjab as well, I'm only joking, we're all Punjabis. I believe that instead of having India as, because we now have India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. At one point it was India and Pakistan and East Pakistan, which was Bangladesh.
And Afghanistan and Burma.
Yeah. So, well, do you include that in the mix? Because
in the original India? Yeah, well, it was.
All right, let's talk about from the let's just say all the partition from 1947, because I don't really want to get into Afghanistan at the moment, or Burma. Let's just concentrate on those three entities. And obviously we know that Bangladesh then had a war with Pakistan, and now they've become their own separate country. I personally believe that India, or that particular subcontinent, should have been split up rather than into 3 countries, maybe 6 countries.
Okay. In accordance to its culture, like Gujaratis should have had their own land, where Gujarat stands.
Yeah, and so South Indians, as you know, there is actually a separatist movement in South India now. And a lot of people don't understand that South Indians are completely different from North Indians. We don't have the same language. We go from an Indo-European language, they go from the Dravidian language. We have different food. We're actually racially different as well, if you look at the Indians from the south, from the thingy. And so we even have a different history to a certain degree. So they're looking for a separation as well. And I believe that, you should have had a Dravidian state, which is the south. Punjab should have been kept as one, and we could have had Muslims, Sikhs and Hindus who are Punjabi in that country. Obviously we will try and get the balance, so we have to chuck some Muslims out, because they were actually 75%, so we can't have them like too many of them, so we'll get them over. We'll chuck some into Pakistan, and so we have like an equal mix of Pakistan, Muslims, Sikhs and Hindus and Christians in there as well. And then you would have had Kashmir, could have been a separate entity as well, and you could have still had Pakistan as well, and Bangladesh, but Pakistan would have been smaller. What do you think of that kind of concept? Because I think a lot of the problems we're having is because of the way India was kind of cut up in a, let's just say, not in the most productive way.
But the problem is, if you take Punjab, the state of Punjab, it's been cut up 2-3 times.
Yeah, again, Haryana, Chandigarh.
So it's really lost out in the long run, because that's where all the farming was. because that's where all the farming was.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just talking to my Sikh brother. He joined in from off camera. I do like his advice as well. Same with my brother here. So when we're talking, if you got anything to say, or if I ask you a question, you can say what you want.
Or anyone.
Yeah. So what is your opinion about India kind of maybe being split into more countries than just three? In 1947 they split into Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India. I was thinking that it should have been Punjab should have been a separate country, because Punjab is split in half in Pakistan. What is your kind of take on that?
My views are like that.
You're on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on camera. See, he's coming on camera. Well done. I like that.
Finally.
Yeah, finally, man. No one should be scared, man. Just come down. We have a good discussion.
Yeah, because
now you need to come.
there are 29 states at the moment in India. So majority of them like Hindi-speaking states, and they share the similar culture and similar values. But if you talk about Punjab and you talk about the South India, so if you take the example of state of Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and those kind of people, like those are Dravidians, they have different culture and everything. And there was a news in the last week, month before, like they want to have their separate regional flag under the flag of India. So like they want to keep their identity safe, and they want to get their respect of their languages and everything. Because the Indian government is imposing their Hindi language on the other minority.
Down to the BJP and RSS. So we'll go on to the BJP and RSS. One of the reasons why I think there's a big separatist movement coming from South India and coming from Kashmir and Punjab, the BJP and RSS are trying to oppress the minorities. And one of the things they are doing is obviously the Muslims are being persecuted the most. Everyone says I'm an Islamophobe, but I don't like BJP either. So they shouldn't be oppressing no one. And so they're oppressing them. What they're doing with Sikhs, and obviously we're a Sikh circle, so we're going to talk about Sikhs. And one of the problems about the Punjab, one, it's been split in half, then it's been split again into Chandigarh, then you got Haryana, then you got whatever part of it.
Himachal.
And the Pani, the water, we call it Pani, they take 75% of the water and they direct it out of Punjab into other areas.
In free.
And they want 10% more as well. This is actually look, turn the video around. This is the real Indian here, so there's a real Indian behind us. And so, I know he's back. We're talking about India. He's here. We're talking about India. So, one of the things is that Punjab has been cut up, and it's been, let's just say it's been kind of like taken advantage of.
Free Palestine!
So,
Raj, talk about something sensible, more important. Free Palestine!
Do you know what, I'm trying to be very calm here, and I'm going to be nice to him today.
What do you think about the situation?
We'll go on to that later because we're going to be talking about Punjab. Obviously, Punjab's first, man. We care about. Obviously, we're going to talk about Punjab first. They talk about Palestine all the time, so let us talk about our subject matter. And the thing is that, obviously, we know that there's a lot of problems in Punjab with the water, and there's a lot of people committing suicide because they can't run their farms, and so they're trying to take the water out, another 10%. That's another topic, but that is one of the problems with the Indian government. Which is kind of like what I'm saying, oppressing Punjab and kind of taking a lot of its resources, but not paying the respect to the Punjab that it deserves. Remember, the Punjab, the Sikhs in Punjab only make up 1% of the population, but make up 15% of the army. We have all the highest recommended, highest decorated regiments. On top of that, it's the breadbasket in terms of agriculture of Punjab. So considering our small population, we give a lot, but we don't seem to be getting the respect, I think, that we deserve. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, I think, because if you talk about the Green Revolution in India, when the Green Revolution imposed by the Indian government, and it was tested by the farmers in Punjab. And if you check the documentaries about the Green Revolution, it's impact, the negative impacts of the soil, so all the soils and the water levels, and they are damaging the soil, especially the present time, the fertilizers, which are subsidized by the government.
Come closer,
and
come closer, just ignore him. He'll be scared of the camera. Come closer.
And
my microphone ain't that good. Come in closer.
The soil is less fertile in Punjab than it used to be time before, and and it was tested by the Indian government in the Punjab, the Green Revolution. You can check online, and it was always have a negative impact. That's why the water level is going down. And yes.
What about yourself?
Can I just say I've actually written a book about the water issue, the global water issue.
All right.
But that book starts off. Majority of it is about India and what they've done. What's happening in India with the water issue is that they're privatising the water supply.
Yeah.
So listen, mate. If you interrupt me again when we're talking about that.
He's in the corner. I'm trying to ignore him.
So they're trying to privatise the water in India, and the British started the irrigation channels, and now they're trying to make a pay-as-you-go system in India. That's why you'll know this. They're laying a lot of new canals. India, especially North India, is a floodplain. That means that the land gets flooded, and that's where the underground reservoirs get their water from. But what India has done, they've built super dams, and they stopped the water on the flooding coming. And what they're saying is it's global warming, it's climate change, that's why there's no water underground, and it's not true. They're allowing the water to be used up and be poisoned with...
You do know there's a canal that has been built by Indira Gandhi, and it's been closed off, and they're trying to reopen it. I think they want to divert the water to Gujarat.
Yeah, I think that's
And
right.
so I'm going to say something about, a lot of people are going to say, look, Bhindranwale, when you listen to what he said, Bhindranwale was a freedom fighter to us who fought the Indian government, and he wanted an independent state to a certain degree if India didn't conform to what he wanted, what was it called, the Nunpur Resolution, wasn't it? And so when you read the Nunpur Resolution, the Nunpur Resolution, when you read it, it's actually very reasonable. I mean, one of the biggest problems with India is that under the constitution, which is why one of the main reasons I don't support India as a country is that under the constitution, the Sikhs are classified as Hindu. And we are not Hindu. We have nothing against Hindus, but we are not Hindus. And until that particular law is changed, I think that's one of the main crusts of my problem, including the water and the way the Punjab has been treated. What is your kind of take on being classified as a Hindu under the constitution? Is that an issue for you, or is it not a problem? For me it is, but what about for you, Manny?
It's not a personal issue for me, to be honest, because the constitution is a constitution, and it hasn't stopped Sikhs being Sikhs. But I will say this about the whole separatist movement. I do get slightly upset when pro-Khalistan people shout for a separate state, but they're not in India. I think anybody that wants Khalistan should move to India. I think they should take all their families, everyone with them, because getting independence is a very dirty and ugly and dangerous job. And no, I don't know about you, all the Punjabis that I come across when I go to India, which is very frequent, are not bothered about Khalistan because they don't want to lose their lives, just like a lot of them did in 1984. So the only way to have an independent state and to do it democratically is to have an election, a referendum. So I get upset when all these people in Canada, in America and Britain shout for Khalistan. Well, go to India and fight for it, because at the end of the day, it's the people in India and Punjab that are going to have to do the fight. I don't believe anybody, and I know a lot of the Sikh temples shout for it, they're very pro-Khalistan. I just get a little bit upset. And plus, just like Jedi last week was saying about taking down existing system, I think you've got to understand that when one system comes down, a vacuum is created. So what's going to go in place of that? You have to be very careful, has to be very democratic, and it has to be very binding and fair. And I don't think the Punjabi people are ready to have Khalistan, because a referendum isn't even talked about, which is ridiculous.
But the thing is, the Indian government has created the Khalistan movement even more. Remember, although I want Khalistan, I don't classify myself as a Khalistani because I'm a realist. And like the Israel-Palestinian conflict, I believe there should be a resolution with a two-state solution. And same with Punjab, I don't think we're ever going to get a separate state, so what's the point of having a pipe dream? But I do think Punjab needs to have its respect. I think we should be classified. For you, it may not be a problem, but as a Sikh, I feel offended when under the constitution, we are classified as Hindu. It's like a Christian being classified as a Muslim under another constitution somewhere else. It's just the principle of it.
Yeah,
I think it's a very simple thing that people can do to alleviate the issue. The other problem is the reason why there's such a big Khalistani movement outside of India now is because of the fact that there's been no convictions for the atrocities that were committed against the Sikhs. That causes resentment because one of the things is that, you know, after 30 or odd years, there's not been a single conviction of a single person who had committed a crime against Sikhs, who murdered them in the street, and people know who they are. There are certain politicians that have been recorded undercover that have still not been arrested. So this is why, as a Sikh, I cannot accept India as a country, as a concept. But I still love India as in its history. Like I was reading on Indian history, and I can be proud of the Hindu part of it and this part of it and the pagan part of it. But it doesn't mean I believe in all of it. But I can be proud of it. But as a concept of India, until we have our justice, I can't support India per se. Doesn't mean I support Khalistan either.
I don't know how you guys feel, but India will never admit what they did wrong in 1984. When I say India, I mean the Indian establishment. It's not in the fabric of that establishment. They would never do it. And I think it's very complicated, as if the British establishment were involved with it, then who apologises? Who's ultimately responsible? And saying that, even though I am Punjabi and what have you, there were mistakes made by the Punjabis. I think.
Oh, no one's faultless, obviously.
Like I said, if you want a separate state, no matter where you are, which country, which type of people, you've got to have a referendum.
Yeah, I agree with you as well.
You've got to, and that is the only fair and actual way. Picking up arms and causing aggro is, of course, you could have predicted the Indian government were going to get mean and send in the army. They shouldn't have done, because it's crime against humanity and it's disgusting. Shows how weak and feeble they are. But it's obvious that type of government were going to do that.
Yeah, I always say that India would rather let Punjab burn than let it go.
Yeah, well,
because just
I
to
agree.
explain why I believe that is because the Punjab is in such a crucial position within the Indian subcontinent. It's on the border with Pakistan. Boo, Pakistan, money joking. But you know, obviously, all the wars here have occurred on that border, and all the regiments, the highest decorated regiments, are Sikhs. If you take the Sikhs out of India, I'm sorry, guys in India, you're going to buckle.
Yeah.
Pakistan will conquer you because all the wars have been won by the
By the
Punjabi
Sikhs.
Sikhs.
Yeah.
And even the Pakistani generals admitted that when they went into the wars, they underestimated India because they forgot about the Sikh regiments. And so when you take a population that's only 1% and they make up 15% of the army and all the highest decorated regiments, India cannot afford to lose that on the border. And so then you add in, oh, Amy's here, how's it going? Oh, Tommy Robinson was freed. Big up Tommy Robinson. So I thought you was. Sorry, this is Amy. You said to me last week he's going to be freed. I was like, nah, he's not. But I'm happy you was right though. So well done, man. Well done. So big up Tommy Robinson. So with the situation with the Punjab, it's such a crucial point or position that India, if you're looking at it objectively, India would be mad to let it go. If you're looking at objectively, as looking at it from out your emotions, India would be mad to let it go.
I have 2
Can I
points.
ask
So
you a question from Pakistan?
Yeah.
What is the source of the enmity between Pakistan and India? Is it territorial, political, or religious?
Well,
bit of everything.
all right. So I can do I can be an Islamophobe now. So I'm going to take it. I've got a bad sense of humour. So India has been conquered from the 10th century. A lot of people go on about the British, like the little Indian. I'm an Indian. Always talking about the British. But for 800 years, we had a conquest by the Islamic conquest of India. So at one point, India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, there was no Muslims. And so over 800 years, you're looking at around approximately 150 million dead by Islamic conquest. The minimum is 80 million. And so a lot of people forget this. And obviously the people that became Muslim are going to be in Pakistan. And so the Hindus and Sikhs do have a little bit of resentment because for a Muslim, the past 800 years of Islamic conquest was a good thing. For us, it's a bad thing. For us, it was a terrible, oppressive time or putting jizya, apart from, I think it was one of the Mughal, I think it was Akbar, was it? Akbar, big up, I think it was Akbar, but he was the only one that took that away, and he was the most moderate. And so over the time, we've had this kind of hostility between the Hindu, Sikhs and Muslims. So, and then when the partition happened the British obviously ruled India for maybe 200 years, the Punjab only for 97 years.
Can I just add something? The Sikh religion, which is the majority religion in the state of Punjab, was, we could say, industrialized on the back of protecting India and Punjab from the Muslim Mughal rulers. So that's when it went from kind of a belief into an actual religion, right? And Sikhs started wearing turbans and what have you. And even at those times, there was a lot of abduction of women, a lot of raping of women, which was one of the reasons why the Sikhs formed into what Sikhism is basically a standing army to protect the people. So it's important to remember.
Which people?
Sorry?
To protect which people?
Anyone in the local lands.
Anyone that's being oppressed.
Not Muslims.
And Muslims, everybody.
Anybody.
Doesn't matter
So,
who
so I'm just
It
saying
doesn't
that
matter
the
which
actual,
religion he belongs
the actual religion
What
has
about Jews?
roots.
Can I bring in Jews?
There were no Jews
What's your
in.
attitude to Jews?
Very neutral to everybody.
We don't have animosity towards any particular faith, but we do have an animosity in terms of geopolitical reasons. So when India was split, 1 million people died going from India to Pakistan, Pakistan to India. So there was atrocities on both sides.
I saw the film.
Yeah, so there was atrocities on both sides. So when you talk to like our parents, there is still this kind of resentment when they say about Pakistanis, and the Pakistanis have a little bit of resentment towards the Indians, and that's just from hundreds of years of kind of like turmoil and then the partition. Do we hate each other? No, not really. A lot of people think I hate Pakistan. I don't hate Pakistan. I think there's been a lot of kind of what I call bad decisions made on all
Are there
sides.
no Muslims in India now?
Yeah, there is 250 million.
In India?
Yeah,
More than Sikhs,
there's
yeah.
only 25 million Sikhs in India, and there's 250 million Muslims.
I noticed that some time ago, you may remember, there was a Sikh chased a bag snatcher or somebody who chased after him, and he got stabbed for his heroism, for being a hero. He brought the guy down, and the guy stabbed him.
All right.
And he was just a guy who was a Sikh who was here in this country by himself, sending money to his wife and his family back in India. And my family came back a few years. They wanted to make a donation, like somebody was doing, £100 or something. But we didn't know who to give it to. So we rang the Indian embassy, and we told them we'd like to make a donation. They were very offhand, very unhelpful. You know, almost not exactly hostile, but not in the least bit helpful.
We haven't got-
Eventually, there was a guy in the pizza hut with his family, with a turban. So I went to him, I said, "Are you a Sikh?" So I told him the story. He said, "Oh, leave it to me." And 2 weeks later, he went back, "This is how you donate." Very helpful. So from that moment, I realised there was some kind of
Animosity. Yeah, there is a problem. Like I don't classify myself as Indian, but as Punjabi, British Sikh. I don't have an affinity with India as a country because I think they're mistreating the Sikhs. So I think there is a bit of the Sikhs are kind of like, let's say the Indian government, we're not their favourite kind of like group or minority in India because we make a lot of noise for such a small people. There's only 25. A lot of people think there's billions of Sikhs. There's only 25 million. There's a billion people in India. But you would think by our kind of presence that we are like half the country. We're not. There's actually more Christians and Sikhs in India.
So I had to be really sure my total ignorance. But when I came here, you were talking about what? Pakistan?
Khalistan.
Pakistan, where is that? I didn't know.
So the Sikhs
Does it
wanted.
exist?
It doesn't exist. So the Sikhs wanted a separate home. But actually, good you've come because now we can explain things to the viewers. Because we was talking as Sikhs to Sikhs, so the viewers are not Sikhs who are going to be watching. So the Khalistan was a state that Sikhs wanted and still want. It's a separate state from India. So it's the same way let's just say the Basque separatists in Spain, they want a separate country, from Barcelona. So the Sikhs also want a separate country called Khalistan from India.
The Punjab?
That's the Punjab,
Is it part of the Punjab in Pakistan?
Yeah, so they can have that bit. They've taken it now. We can't.
We've
do nothing about
donated it.
Yeah, we've donated it. We let them have it. We've got the good part. And so in India, the problem with the Sikhs in India is that we contribute so much for such a small population, but we're mistreated quite badly by the government. And so so I'll give you an example. If you look at the army, I'm going to give you the positive first. Within the army, we only 1% of the country, about 15% of the army. We have all the highest decorated regiments. Nearly all the wars that were fought against Pakistan and them lot had Sikhs within the fighting, and were one of the main reasons why India won those wars. You then have the Punjab is a breadbasket in terms of agriculture of India. And so, a lot of the kind of agriculture is coming from the Punjab. You then have the water, most of the water, Indus Valley civilization, which is one of the oldest civilizations, was in the Punjab. So there's like rivers going across. Punjab means 5 rivers. And so we have a lot of water there. And so what they're doing is they're taking all the water and they're funneling it to different states. And so Punjab is suffering because it's farmland and we need water as well. And so, and also 10,000 Sikhs were massacred in 1984 with this Khalistan movement.
The temple.
Yeah, the Golden Temple, and there's not been one person brought to justice. And so for Sikhs, we feel like we're being aggrieved. And we're giving so much to India, but we're not getting nothing back.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
People say, and this may be totally fallacious, but people like me say, people like I know say, oh, you have to say about Indians, they're clever people.
Yeah.
Well, clearly a lot of Indians are labourers. They're not particularly educated, not particularly gifted.
Yeah.
But you can also say that among the Indian population, there are some clever people.
Yeah.
Clever traders, and their sons and their daughters are well educated, they become lawyers and doctors. But is this a particular part, is it the Sikhs that are particularly gifted in that way?
No, I think it's everybody. I mean, you can talk about this and I'll say my piece.
South Indians are generally the most educated, most mentally capable, shall we say. The Punjabis are a different race, much healthier in terms of physical attributes and physical attributes. So in terms of anything with duration, Punjabis stand out. The brains are kind of South India, where Tamil is and that part of the world, and the labourers are UP, Bihar and that type of thing. And Mumbai area and Delhi, which are 2 big cities, is very much like a London. They're 2 London cities. So India, each state is a completely different world.
What about the caste system?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. This is one of the biggest problems why India has suffered and has been conquered easily and has not progressed as much as it could have. Because if you look at the caste system, it's holding back the country. Now, I'll give you what reasoning why. Within Hinduism, there's a strong caste system, and Brahmins are the top caste. You then have the Visashtras, are they? The warrior class, the Sudras, and then you have and then you have Dalits and stuff like that. Sorry if I've missed anything. Yeah, I missed anything. Yeah, so the bottom is Dalits. So I'm gonna go to the bottom.
No, Dalits are outside the caste system.
Yeah, they're outside the caste system.
There's 5 castes, Dalits are outside the caste system.
It's a bit embarrassing. The white man knows more than me. Right, so I'm gonna go for the top here, which is the Brahmins, and the Dalits at the bottom. What has happened with India is that you could have a Dalit that is like Einstein, and he's the most gifted individual. But because of the caste system is so rigid, he cannot progress. And you could have a Brahmin that's really thick, like a lot of people at Speaker's Corner, sorry guys, a lot of my haters as well, who are very thick, but they will be in high positions of power because of nepotism or because of their caste. Yeah, so you have this big problem. Until that's alleviated and it's completely destroyed, we will always have a problem. Like if you look at India, it's a very strange place because you have a space program which is incredible and it's sending out probes to Mars, and it's actually cut the cost of sending a probe to Mars to 25% compared to NASA. But you have people on the street that are defecating. So there's a problem in terms of the disparity, and I think a lot of that has to do with the caste system being so rigid. So people that are able to do something are not allowed to.
Is it becoming less rigid?
I disagree.
Oh, go on. Yeah, come on.
Is it becoming
I
less
think the
rigid?
major problem in India
Yeah.
is over-democracy with people who sell their vote too easily.
Yeah.
For instance, go into Uttar Pradesh.
Can you introduce yourself first?
Yeah, I'm Phil. Hi.
Phil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you've got the government will then spend huge amounts of money subsidising water to farmers, and all the money goes to them because the farmers will block vote. Okay? Which means they don't have any money to invest in roads. So the roads will be shit, so they can't get anything away so that they can subsidise water. And it's not quite true. The Dalits actually are better off than the lower caste just above them, because the Dalits get special rights now, so that they'll get special access into universities.
Has that been recently?
No, not really. Late 1980s onwards.
Oh, that is recent. That is
all right,
recent.
okay, but still. So actually being a Dalit can help you, but being lower, if you're a couple above
like
you, then you won't have the advantages.
All right.
So in fact, it's a lot more nuanced than you might expect. But a lot of the problem is just people sell their votes too easily.
Well, the other thing is that what people don't realise, most people in India don't pay tax.
No, well,
and
that's
so
right.
the problem is you go to India and you go to someone's house and it's beautiful, but then you walk out the roads are crooked. And the reason for that is because people don't pay tax. And so when they're not paying tax, I think they've done a calculation, it was only like 5% of Indians pay tax.
Okay, well, look at another problem.
that a bad
Look at
thing?
another problem in India. No shortage of entrepreneurs in India, are there?
Yeah.
Where's the fucking supermarkets? Go to India, you cannot find a proper sized supermarket. It's just grocery shops everywhere. People go, oh no, this is a really big one. And it's like, it's the size of a metro, a Texo metro.
Do you got Indian accent again? Where's an Indian right here? Ready, nice.
Really?
Don't worry, it's fine. It's so, just turn the camera around. Before you start crying and bitching, it's just a joke.
Yeah. So
Because people are so sensitive nowadays, they
But
start
it's-
crying in the comments.
there's no, so you can't get, there's no economy of scale.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point 3 years ago where potatoes were more expensive in India than they were in England,
Yeah.
and Indians here were exporting potatoes to India.
Yeah.
Because there's no effective ways of distributing goods, because India has borders, has actual internal customs.
Yeah.
So to go from one state to the
Oh,
other,
did they? Oh,
you've
I
got to
didn't
still
know
pay. You've got to pay duties to cross the state. It can take 2 days to send a truck across India because they kept getting stopped at every border and having.
And there's a lot of corruption as well.
It's
Oh
immense.
my God.
Can I ask
You
a
can't.
question
Yeah.
about this country?
Yeah.
Do you see ramifications of the caste system and possibly corruption in Indian society here?
Yeah. I mean, actually, the government is trying to tackle the caste system even here, because the Brahmins are at the top, and even for Sikhs, we're a separate religion, and one of the main things that was supposed to be taken out of our faith was the caste. Now, unfortunately, culture infiltrates even people's kind of religion, not religion, but we're Sikh Punjabis here, so the Punjabi culture has caste in it as well. And so when we go to a temple, sometimes it might have a caste name on it, even though it's totally against our faith. But in Hinduism, it's still quite rigid. I'm not sure how bad it is in this
If
country.
you even look at Christianity in India,
Yeah.
you go and see Christian cemeteries, and you'll go,
Caste.
oh no, and they'll say, oh no, we're from Brahmin caste India. You go, you're supposed to be Catholics.
Yeah.
How can you be different castes? You're supposed
Yeah.
to get that. They'll say, oh no, you're not going to bury you in with it because you are.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because I've said, a lot of people say the British bring in the caste. The caste has been there for 4,000 or 5,000 years, and it's going to be very difficult for it to kind of be weeded out of people. A lot of people blame the British all the time, saying it's the British with the caste. What is your kind of we can go on to this actually, because we've got like, what's your theory on the caste system? Because there's a lot
Well,
of
look,
different
the
theories.
caste system obviously existed well before then.
Yeah.
It's it's a substantial part of Hindu society. So all that happened was when Britain came over, we sent over a few thousand men, and of course there's a lot of people underneath that goes, we'll do your administration for you.
Do the Indian accent.
And
Though.
they
You need to do the Indian accent.
They go, we'll do your administration for you, and then an entire layer came over and brought in all their tricks that they'd learned from working for the Mughals, because all they'd done is they'd exchanged the Mughals for the British, saying, we know how to thrive under an empire, we'll run everything for you, and we'll cream off all the money. And they got so good at it, we said, yeah, you can do that in Africa too, which is why all over East Africa, there was a layer, under the whites, there was a layer of Asians.
All right, we're going to go into something quite controversial.
But
I spoke.
let's just continue. It's just another form of hierarchy which exists everywhere. So I mean, it's just more intrusive. So what you've got to remember is, even in this country, any Western democracy, there's always an established hierarchy, and this is just maybe a bit more right-wing hierarchy, because that's how people gain power.
But the problem with caste is not about meritocracy. It's about your nobility, about what you've been born into. So
about power again.
So,
that's what it
so
boils
this is
down
why
to.
India, with the more rigid the caste, I think the more easier it is to manipulate them. Because if you believe that as a Brahmin you're above a Dalit, then you're going to be behaving in a way that somebody can come in and manipulate that.
Sure, you can be outraged that you're losing your status.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Sikh. Now, Sikhs, of course, had very privileged status in the British Empire because of your loyalty and ability to fight.
All right. A lot of people are going to say a lot of people say Sikhs are like sellouts. We're not sellouts.
You're not sellouts. You fight for yourself.
We're not sellouts.
Sell out to who?
Let me say something. The last part of India to be conquered, well, the rest of India was conquered for 200 years, was the Punjab, and that was only for 97 years. And the only reason the British managed to conquer us is because we had traitors within our camp. In terms of the wars, the two Anglo-Sikh wars, it was more of a kind of a mixed bag.
If anybody wants to know about war, okay, 121 years ago, September, around about 17th, Battle of Sagahi.
Sarangari.
I mean, it is. I'm an ex-soldier, and I gave lectures on it. It is the most incredible siege ever. It's like, I think 22 Sikh soldiers fighting against Afghans, Pathans coming in rows. and they would not surrender. And it gets to the point where there is one Risolda, sergeant.
Before I go on, I'm an artist,
Yeah.
and my drawing of Battle of Serengeti
there we go.
is actually up in Sandhurst Military
and
Academy.
that is
So that's the
Risolda Gulbadia Singh.
Yeah. So if you look at the background, it's actually the mountain, and they used to signal with the
Yes, that's
lights.
the signal. That's the
So you
signal.
can see there.
Okay.
So this particular drawing I've done for the 115th anniversary, and so it's actually up in Sandhurst Military Academy.
Right. So, and then the last thing he says, isn't it, is...
Can I just say the story first?
Yeah, go for it.
21 Sikhs against 10,000 Mujahideen, and we took out maybe 350. They all died, but you know, we did the numbers.
No,
man.
you did. And the last
That's
words, I mean, this guy says, you know, permission. He says, you know, permission to desert my station so he can take it. He shouts, I don't know the... time is eternal, and then just takes out 3 or 4 just as he goes down. He goes, look, we are not going to...
speaking, the Spartans outdid you then.
We are not going to desert our post.
Well, I don't really believe in that whole story about like billions of like Spartans and all that.
No, there are only 300.
Yeah, 300. Yeah, so the thing is that we get a lot of stick. I mean, I've been told as a Sikh, because I love the UK as well, yeah. Although it was bad, that happened. So before people go on, I know the British Empire was bad in the sense that the Roman Empire, no one likes to be colonised. The UK was colonised by the Romans as well. I mean, London is Londinian. And so everybody has been colonised. And what I try and say is that even though you're being colonised, there are still, from bad, you can still get some good things. Yeah. So because I get a lot of stick for this, I said that when the British come in, although no one wants to be conquered. Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. But the war systems put in place, like the common law was put in place, which is still being used. Democracy, secularism.
Railways.
And look, people hate when I say railways as well. But it's the same with the British. Just because someone comes in and conquered your country, it doesn't mean you get rid of the roads. Like the
Romans. It's just like, you know,
but
there's that Monty Python. What did the Romans do first? Well, it saved
But
the
this is what people that are very ignorant want me to say, is that, all right, so Rome come into England and they built aqueducts and roads. So because you hate the Romans, you didn't get rid of the roads. You're shooting yourself in the foot. What you do is you take the good and you get rid of the bad. The bad were the British, unfortunately, but the good was some of the systems.
But hang on, when the Romans invaded here, half the tribes would come up to them and say, look, okay, we're immediately surrendering to you, just get rid of those people over there, and it's pretty much standard everywhere. Well, you find some people who do very well out of a new invasion. Also, if you're a Hindu and you're being ruled over by the Mughals...
So can I just get here because he's speaking?
If you're Hindu...
come over here, bro.
If you're... All right, I'll come over.
You need to come
if
over.
you're a Hindu...
Yeah, come on, mate. Come and join him, man. More white people. Good.
Right. If you're a Hindu...
Balance it out a bit.
If you're a Hindu and you're being ruled over by the Mughal Empire, why should you be loyal to them and not a different group of people?
Yeah.
What does it make a difference?
Well, the problem I have here with a lot of people, they come up to me and say, oh, you're with the British. I said, look, before the British come, we were ruled by the Mughals. For me, it's a lesser of two evils. Yeah, the Mughals were barbaric. They killed over 150 million people over an 800-year period. And the British, obviously, there was a lot of mistakes and things that happened. But you know, you can't condemn the British and then say, oh, the Mughals were fine. And this is what a lot of Muslims do at the park.
But then that's pretty standard. Is it? They can only see everything good about what they do as if there was some sort of beneficent ruler.
Well, I say to them that when you talk about the Mughal Empire, and I say to them, oh, when they come in, there were so many atrocities, they will say they're not Muslim. But they will take the architecture from Muslims. So on the one hand, they don't want the murder, but they will take the architecture. The Taj Mahal is the thing. The architecture is the language, the food.
To be selective.
Yeah, so it's very selective. So I've had a lot of conversations with Muslims about Indian the Islamic conquest of India, and they believe it to be like, you know, people walking around with flowers and hugging each other and kissing each other, and you know, everyone just converted. No, most people in Pakistan, I'm going to say it again, sorry, Pakistan, you had a sword to your neck, or your ancestors had a sword to the neck, and they converted. The Sikhs and everybody else didn't. So who were the people that were standing up for themselves? I'm sorry, I'm going to get a lot of hate for that one. But
and also, the Sikhs had a European-level army in 1820, 1830.
Yeah,
they brought in French and German instructors in the beginning.
Yeah, I've done a drawing.
Under what, Jean Dunn, the Queen?
Maharaja
Who's the
Ranjit
Queen?
Singh, and there was a guy called John Baptiste and Francois
Allard. Those are the French ones who trained.
Yeah, so he had one of the things that Maharaja Ranjit, reason why he was a last warlord of Punjab, reason why he was so good at battling the British is that he used European generals as well, because the tactics were slightly different.
So it was not a.
And before you go in, there's another drawing I've done. So that's John Baptiste, and that's Francois Allard.
There we go. Yeah.
So you can see here, I'm not just some dimwit. I do drawings as well. And so that's actually a historical drawing. This is exactly what they look like.
Yeah.
So you had a French and an Italian general, and this is why the Punjab was a lot harder to conquer because Maharaja Ranjit Singh understood using European tactics against Europeans.
So it's not like it was a pushover.
Yeah.
So one group's exchanged for another. I mean, do people also think that India would now be a unified country had it not been for the Raj at the time, which essentially united
this is
India?
how the conversation started.
Right. It wouldn't now.
The premise of the conversation was, I don't believe that India should have been one unified country. I believe that you should have been maybe 6 or 7 separate countries.
That might have been a better idea.
Yeah, because if you look at, a lot of people think of India as a country that has always been there. It's always been lots of different kingdoms with little chiefdoms.
Yeah, it has. And also, you've got languages that are related to each other, but they're quite different. It's just like saying, well, the Germans and Dutch and Scandinavians and Britons, we're not all one people, so we're related, but
when you go to South India, the North India is Indo-European languages, and when you go to South India, they've got Dravidian.
Kerala, yes.
And so it's a completely separate dialect. And so
well, the music's different, the dance styles are different.
And a lot of people don't like to go into race, but they are racially different as well. The people from the south do look different from people from the north. We have a bit more of an admixture of different cultures. And so when we started the conversation, because I'm renowned for at the park saying I'm British Punjabi Sikh, but I'm not British Indian Sikh. So the reason why I don't classify myself as Indian is because I don't believe that India as a concept should have ever really been separated the way it did. It should have been maybe 6 or 7 countries rather than 2, which was East Pakistan and
yes, and then they broke off, didn't they?
Because the guy that done it just kind of literally from England just like drew the border.
But then that was demanded by the Congress Party. Yeah, so wanted one single India, and they've had problems ever since. It is too big to manage effectively.
Yeah, and so you have a lot of strife in India now with a lot of separatist movements because obviously, I don't know if you know about the Punjab, we have a lot of issues that we want a separatist movement. I don't believe it's ever going to happen.
But nor do I. And then part of you is in Pakistan anyway.
Yeah, boo Pakistan. I'm only joking. Yeah. No, but yeah, so this is how the conversation started and it kind of went over to other topics as well. And luckily he come in and he's been giving us a different insight as well. Have you got anything you want to say, Manny? Because you've been quite quiet.
No, I've just been listening. I just want to go back to the caste system in India.
Zoom into his clothing. A lot of people are going to be triggered by this.
They're going to be triggered, yeah.
They're going to be triggered.
So with the Hindus, before Hinduism comes from a religion called Brahmanism.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah.
And that was a class system created to keep the Brahmins at the top of that we've discussed. But with the Sikh side of things, it was never supposed to be a class system. It was supposed to be a system of what you're good at.
But then Sikhism is very new, is it? It's 17th century.
Exactly.
15th.
Is it?
So Sikhism like all...
16th century, 15th.
So Sikhism like all...
The first guru is what, 15?
It was in 1486 or something was the birth.
Oh really? Guru Nanak.
So Sikhism, like all religions, is a collectivized system.
It is recording, isn't it?
So they're trying to take... any collectivized system does away with individuality and puts everybody in one bracket. That's why Sikhism, like all religion, doesn't really like caste system because it gives individuality to people and they can't be controlled as easily.
Well, no, the reason
but
why...
then every Sikh's a soldier.
No, but can I say so? The reason why Sikhs don't like caste system is because it's against the Sikh religion.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Because so obviously before Sikhism came about, you had a very rigid caste system, which obviously there was no white people there, so it couldn't have been the white people that put it there. It was because a lot of people want to.
No. You can't have a rigid class system without white people because only white people can do that.
The game on man. So we have this narrative at the park or at Speaker's Corner or all over the place that the white man. But what they don't realise is a 7,000-8,000 year history of oppression within India without the white person there. And a lot of that has to do with the caste system as well.
But can I say the Brahmins were originally European?
Oh, Steve!
They're Indo-European still.
Big up Tommy Robinson, he's freed.
Free.
So free Tommy Robinson, we got him out.
Yeah,
we got him out, so well done, man. Yeah, so what is your, do you know about that Aryan invasion theory?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, the Dravidians are there first, aren't they? And then Aryans come in from the north, so your northern Indians are people who've sort of come south from Persia and others at some point. Possibly.
So
We
do
don't
you
know.
agree-
Our
do you
contracts
agree-
are- Yeah, possibly.
Do you agree that they came in different waves, though?
I don't know enough. Look, what I don't like to do, and a lot of people do, is they get a theory and they don't know for sure, and then they become absolutely fixated. Sorry, in this case, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like I've been researching this for quite a while, and I always assumed that this kind of like Aryan invasion theory was a British myth to kind of manipulate Indians into thinking that there was always white people there. But like I said, a lot of people keep on going because my mum done a DNA test, and when she done a DNA test, it come out very weird. Like it come out with 3% Finnish, 1% Central Asian, 1% Papua New Guinea, 1% Native American, and so I was like, all right, so where did this kind of like, because Finnish is obviously in Europe somewhere, so there might be some truth to this Aryan invasion theory at some point with some people.
I mean, of course, when you look at the genetics, that doesn't mean they're from exactly modern-day Finland. They're a genetic group that includes Estonians, people in certain parts of Russia, and that sort of thing. So, and the Papua New Guineans also include the people who live in the Andaman.
And the South Dravidians.
Yeah, that's right. So you can see there's a mix. I mean, I'm a mix between Northern European and Jewish. So I've done my own genetic testing, so I can see that spread of it too.
But there is a massive controversy with this particular topic in India at the moment, because the BJP, who are fascist, racist Nazis in India, are what they want to do is that they disagree strongly with this Aryan invasion theory, whereas the Dravidians agree with it strongly, because obviously the Dravidians want to see themselves as the original Indus Valley civilization.
Which they
BJP are more moderate than like Shiv Sena.
What, the BJP?
Yeah, more moderate than Shiv Sena even, who go even further to an extreme.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to understand the BJP is part of the RSS, and the RSS is a very extreme group that is non-political in terms of being elected. Sure. So the RSS is like the BNP, not the BNP, if you're talking about like the far right group like NF or something like that. And so they're extreme, but their political side is the BJP, which is the moderate kind of face of their party. So they are very extreme. But
then, what other effective opposition is there to Congress?
There isn't really.
There isn't really.
I mean, even in the Punjab, they normally do coalitions. So the BJP has actually had a coalition with Akali Dal Party, I think. And so there has been coalitions because there's not many parties around India that you can really choose from.
Congress is now in Punjab. Since late 1984, Congress have now won the elections, and for the first time since the 1984 issues, Congress is back in power.
So we had Badal before for God knows how long, and now we got Aminda. So the thing is with the Aryan invasion theory, I believe that you should just look at facts, even if it's uncomfortable. And the thing is, there is some weird kind of anomalies over in North India compared to when you look at South India's. If you look at the Indus Valley civilization, it was a very militaristic civilization.
I think
and that is in tune with Dravidians. The Dravidians are not very what you call aggressive. And so I can't imagine a Punjabi race not having no swords and chariots and stuff like that.
It's misleading to call it an Aryan invasion, because it was more of a Scythian invasion, and it came in four waves.
Remember, the word Aryan is not.
Well, it doesn't have any real.
The word Aryan, let's take out. It's been hijacked by the Nazis. It just means a noble person. The same with the swastika. So we need to reclaim these things and not be too hung up about the wording. So we call it the Aryan invasion theory because it's probably the easiest one that people can understand. But obviously the people that came over were not going to be like white, blonde-haired people. They probably would have been more Central Asian.
Although interesting, they found in Western China, they've dug up bodies of guys wearing essentially tartan trousers with red hair.
All right.
So sort of Celtic tribes have moved.
There's been some myths in Japan as well about red-headed.
There are red-headed people right in the very north. They're called the Ainu.
All right.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
So it's not entirely a myth. But so many people's nationalism is obsessed. Like the Chinese will just deny this happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's fair. Why do you have a worry about this? Why do you have a worry that people have moved all over the place? Because it doesn't suit the needs of nationalism. Now, Congress have done this thing for years that whenever they get upset, they'll bring up Britain.
Yeah.
Oh, we did this, and I can't remember the name of this guy. There's a guy. He's very eloquent. He speaks English with a pure English accent. and I can't remember, and he's constantly moaning about something to do with empire. So somebody shouts out, "Don't talk about Britain stealing from you when your Congress party has stolen 10 times as much."
He comes on British TV.
And you are just a lick spittle of the Gandhi family, and while they have looted India, just have a look at the Beaufort scandal or any of another ways that the Gandhis have absolutely looted India, and yet they wander around as if they're not responsible for anything.
Well, a lot of people, one of the issues I have is there's a lot of kind of like mysticism about particular characters, like Indira, what's his name, Mahatma Gandhi. Sorry, Mahatma Gandhi wasn't a saint. It was a bit of a weird character.
All right, do you know what he told to Jewish people in the 1930s when they're threatened by the Nazis? Do you know what he told Jewish people to do? He said, "You should all collectively commit suicide to shame the Germans." Gandhi actually said that. You should collectively commit suicide. Well, that's what you should do.
The thing about Mahatma Gandhi, a lot of people kind of I have an issue with this. Like, if you look at Churchill, when people try and look at Churchill, they have a very mixed view of Churchill, and a lot of people say he was like this and like that. But when you look at Mahatma Gandhi, because for some reason he's been kind of like made into some saint, but in reality he was a racist. If you look at his memoirs from South Africa and the way he spoke about black people, he was more racist than whites. Yeah, and then
But then I'd also argue he's just typical of a period. Everybody has thought that.
But what I'm trying to say is the hypocrisy.
Oh yeah, but they try and make out.
You have like someone like Winston Churchill who has a checkered history, but they just say, well, you can't support him, or just look at that one area and say, oh, he did save Western civilization from Hitler. Without him, we probably would have crumbled. But he done a lot of bad as well. But when it comes to obviously, when it comes to something like Indira Gandhi and them lot, you have this more kind of like, oh, he's a saint, but they don't want to look at any of the bad points of that guy.
Well, social justice warriors can't cope with.
Going on the B camp.
Can't cope with nuanced ideas. Yeah. They can't cope that some people might be. Churchill was a drunk with severe depression problems who is a product of his time, has a varied career, does some incredible things. And for instance, the second time he was Prime Minister, he was crap because he was too old, and the first time he was brilliant. People, they can't understand the idea.
And he didn't get re-elected the second time, after the war.
But then he got elected after.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, only because
came again in 51.
the king decided to be able to talk.
What?
No, I think they wanted a bit of a change.
They made a film.
Oh, come on, it's nothing to do with the King's speech. That's 1936. Churchill isn't even in power then. If you're gonna jump in, be clued up, mate. No, come in with the. Don't come in with
the right time now.
Don't come in with the nonsense.
Start?
King's speech is 1936, yeah.
And when did the war start?
It's under 1939.
Come on,
how many years is that then?
6 right. Years. Yeah, and Churchill wasn't in power then.
36 to 39.
And what year did Churchill come into power? What year did Churchill?
Do me a favour, don't shout.
You don't have a clue, do you? Right. So stay behind the camera and just record. Okay. You don't have a clue. Don't jump in.
He's all right. Leave him alone.
All right. Don't jump in unless you can handle
Ginger.
it. All right. Ginger, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Anyway.
So the reason why Churchill never got re-elected was because people wanted to change. No, but after the war they wanted to change because they saw him as a wartime prime minister, and they wanted obviously the NHS didn't come in after that. So
although people don't understand, the NHS was started to plan in 1940.
Yeah.
And it only came in under. So it comes in the Labour government, but it was already planned well before under the National government and the Conservative government before. So it's not as if it was new. No, Churchill was then re-elected in 51. But he was falling apart and the government was...
what I was trying to say about the Churchill comparison is that you have one individual who obviously done bad but done good, but people can see that. But when it comes to people like Indira Gandhi, or even, let's say, what's her name, Mother Teresa, she was a terrible person as well.
But hang on, that all depends on what you were trying to do. Look, I'm not a Roman Catholic. I belong to a different religion, but I'm not. But Mother Teresa is a Roman Catholic, and her intention was to help people get to her Catholic heaven. It wasn't to save their lives.
Suffering.
Well, she just thought people.
All right, so let me explain why I think Mother Teresa was a bad person. Because in her time in India, she could have done so much, but what she did, and what reason why I'm criticising is because she's seen as a saint when she isn't. In India, when she went there, she would set up homes for the destitute. She didn't give them no real kind of medicine or no real kind of comfort. She believed in people being suffering during their lifetime to then get to God. And now, this is the issue I have. When she was ill, when she was dying, she went to a 5-star hospital and she had all the medicine known to mankind. Why did she not live by her own ethos then? Because in reality, she died in real comfortable conditions where millions of Indians, who could have been saved by simple treatment, was sent to these house of destitute and left in filth, and they died.
And also, all the money that was donated
crime
to her institutions were given to the Roman Catholic Church.
I mean, look, it's not like I support it. I'm just saying that if you have different points of view.
But it's a bad point of view.
You know, if I believed, as some Muslims did, that it's absolutely far better to die in the service of Allah than to live, you might as well, I'll go and do it.
No, the reason why I'm bringing it up is to show the hypocrisy. So you have individuals like Mother Teresa and Gandhi who are bad people themselves, and then you have someone like Winston Churchill who people can just see the bad. But everybody is nuanced in terms of their history. No one's really a saint, but these two individuals are proper saints.
These supposedly bad things that Churchill was supposed to have done, if you compare him to anybody that was around at the time, what are these bad things?
What did he say about Indians? He said Indians are a terrible race of people.
You are?
No, I'm alright though. Punjabi's alright.
Punjabi's alright.
I believe there was a thing that he didn't believe that handicapped children.
Right, I know, but it's a question.
Make sure you say you're joking because they won't understand.
Oh, I'm joking. SJW girls with blue hair and stupid glasses.
Can I say something?
Before you say, I'm going to call you out.
The people that watch these videos are retards, half of them, and they do not understand sarcasm, so you need to explain that.
So
how about the thing, his ability not to look after the mentally disabled, Churchill?
So, all right, well, hang on, let's just go.
And believed in...
all right. Here's somebody said, as you say, Mother Teresa did these bad things, she certainly did from our point of view, and then you go, and this person said something. So he said something, so what? So,
some of these actions did cause negative effects in India.
Well, all right.
Some of the famines were. What is it?
Are we talking about the Bengal famine here, 1943?
Yeah.
Right. That's really important that people like to look at that. Now, what people don't realise a lot of it, what caused the famine? Well, famine was caused by a number of things. First of all, Bengal has never been able to feed itself. Never. It's always imported foodstuffs in. It was rich because it produced jute, and jute was needed to make ropes the world over. So Bengal was very rich, but it couldn't feed itself. England is rich, England cannot feed itself. All right? That's something people should know. We have to buy our food in. Bengal had to buy food in. So you've got the middle of the 1940s, Bengal gets all its food from where? Burma. Burma is now occupied by the Japanese. There is no food to come in. So what do they do next? Well, it's in the middle of the war, so we can't easily ship food in. What we can try and do is buy food from other parts of India. Now, here's what people don't realise. India at the time, each state of India actually had their own parliaments. People don't understand that. They actually had local self-rule, there was no national rule, and the local parliaments were going, no, we're putting a law in and we're not allowing you to export food. So Uttar Pradesh would not export food to Bangladesh. They actually stopped exports of food.
But isn't that how British managed to control India?
No, we didn't know.
No, because India was never unified in terms of a country.
Well, why would that be in our interest as the occupying?
Yeah, I'm not.
But that's almost like, oh, that's the Britain. Wasn't us who did that. We're trying to fight a war, and we're on the edge of starvation here at the moment. Remember, Battle of the Atlantic. We're within 8 weeks of starvation in late 1941, early 1942. We don't have food coming in ourselves. It's not as if we can just send food over. We can't. We can try and get food in from Australia, and in fact a lot of the time we sent over biscuits that were used by the army, and then they refused to eat them because they weren't used to the food. Then as well you've got really bad weather, so which means fishermen can't go out. There's all sorts of factors, and at the time there's not enough food that can get in, and yet people try and make it as Britain on purpose had a famine in one of its own provinces during the war.
No,
why would they do that?
I don't say that myself. I don't think they orchestrated anything. It was
it's a natural disaster.
It's the same like the Irish potato famine. Britain didn't help the matters, but you can't create a famine yourself. So there was circumstances that.
I mean, there was actually a potato blight which wiped out the potatoes.
Yes, yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's not like they were vindictively trying to wipe out the Irish. It was something that happened that the British didn't really kind of intervene or help the matters, but they didn't.
Well, nobody was intervening. Yeah. We thought that the free market would sort things out, but people didn't have the money to buy food in. That was the problem. And the Roman Catholic Church, when they were given donations of money, used that money to build churches.
So what do you think about? What's your opinion on this about the Indian?
I'm very neutral. I don't have any strong opinions about it, to be honest.
I
Go on, carry on.
He was a collectivist. I don't think he was very pro-democracy. But then
Turkish over everything.
Prime ministers, all of the prime ministers.
No, he's a friend of mine, man.
All right, fair enough. All right. This man is very upset, by the way, that he's absolutely furious and spitting in my face because I dared to put a nuanced affair on, because I put a sort of nuanced affair on the Irish potato famine.
He's trying
to say why. I know an awful lot about the Irish potato famine. I'm sure you do. By the look of you, you were there.
No, I'm by the look of you. You look like you were there as well.
Yes, I probably do. Yeah, no, look, if you're going to do a joke, make up your own one. Don't just copy mine.
I'm not copying you.
Right, okay. Could you just go ever so slightly?
Bloody fat pig like
I'm a fat pig like me. So therefore, I'm in the potato famine, but I'm a fat pig. There's a problem with that one.
Pigs eat potatoes.
Yeah, well, there we go. Right.
Come on, guys.
No, I don't. Ad hominem attack.
So let's get back to the point. So, it's
what was your issue with what
again?
you said, though?
Yeah, that's right. Can you just move out the way so the cameras can come in?
Oh, you continue.
Well, then you want to jump out then, brother?
Stand over there then.
If you're going to make a point, by all means make the point, but don't come threatening into my face.
But what's your issue?
Just to say,
Yeah, if you just say, don't record him. But what's your issue with what this gentleman said then?
But he won't
Like
say
what?
what it is. He'll just say, it's rubbish, it's a lot. I'm not saying research it for yourself. You find out you're an idiot. He's just standard buffoon. He's only into a nationalist. He can't deal with a nuanced idea of history. And everything just has to be full of natural myth. In his view, the evil, wicked English intended to go in.
I am English.
So, there's plenty of traitors in our own country. There's plenty of white people who watch this video and say, who is this fascist Nazi? He's a fascist.
Nazi.
No, I know.
I think he might overtake my spot as the most hated man at Speaker's Corner.
I could do.
I think he's going to overtake it.
I'm not new to here. I was trying to come in here 30 years ago.
I don't want you stealing my hatred from the limelight. I love the hate, so give it all to me. Don't give it to him.
But people do also people that
Free the milk.
most people don't decide to kill other people for no particular reason.
Yeah, they do.
Problems happening. Sometimes they do, but not very often.
A lot.
Things happen. The potato famine certainly wasn't orchestrated, certainly wasn't organised.
So what you're saying is things are much more nuanced.
Things are nuanced, they're always nuanced.
That's from Terminator.
I don't seem to understand that.
No, they don't, because
things are not black and white.
People want to have binary thinking. These people are all bad, these people are all good.
They're all sheep basically, so they can't think.
Don't worry, you're in the camera.
I'm not. I'm one of the 5% that don't think as a
No,
sheep.
you're
I
not.
like to hear all different views.
But the main issue is to find most people when they object, they can't tell you a reason why they object. They'll just tell you, you're an idiot, you don't know. Research for yourself, educate yourself, look up some pointless YouTube
I say we
video.
should just go in and conquer it.
We don't want to conquer anything more.
I do.
Conquering countries costs money.
So can I ask you a question? How do you know so much about India? I'm not trying to, because you seem to know
We need
quite,
some
or
more
you
white
somebody that
meat.
knows quite a lot about a lot of broad subject matters. Or is India something that you kind of took
Well, there is
interest in?
too. I mean, I do have quite a broad knowledge. I mean, I won one of Britain's more famous quiz programs with my team some years ago.
Oh, is it?
Who's that?
Challenge?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, get out of the camera if you don't want to be in the camera, man.
Well, I am. It's him that keeps trying to block your view.
You get right in the guy's face and you want to be on film.
Yeah, it's rude as well to stand in front of people's faces and try and spit at them. No, I didn't actually. No, I went to Birkbeck, which is
Was Paxman there when you was doing it, or was it?
Yes, it's Paxman.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well done, congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'll take that back what I said earlier in the thing.
You better apologise to
I
him.
just did.
Birkbeck is a nighttime college, yes.
Paxman was here just around 2 months ago.
Right.
Seriously?
Yeah, I got a photo with him.
Birkbeck is the University of London's
Well done.
evening school. So, and we
You know
won.
what? Can I say something? Anybody that goes on University Challenge, that place here, like when you watch that program, it fries your brain.
Doesn't it, just?
So anyway, 2003, we won in 2003. So
Oh, well done.
we were the champions in 2003. And then
Is all you said?
he did. So mate, look, mate, you know, I gotta say, respect where it's due. Respect where it's due.
Granddad,
And an old
fuck.
fucker like this comes up and comes into my face. So
Granddad's
respect
going
where it's due, mate.
OG.
I actually like him more now.
Bizarrely, I've actually played Russian gangsters on Indian TV.
All right, Russian.
Can you give us a sample of your work? Like audition or something?
Exactly. Listen here, you bitch.
You do look like a Russian. Easy.
Listen, stupid Indian man. Why are you talking to me? I fucking kill you, man.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
That's called act acting.
Before you start crying and doing bitching on the camera.
The SJWs are going mad.
Against the Russians.
Oh, Russians, I think because Russians are quite scary in a way.
No, we were on like, I was on it was like a candid camera for India, and they had all these Indian tourist guides, and then they got onto they get onto like a coach, and this Russian girl runs on and says, "Oh, my idiot boyfriend's coming to get me." But I came onto the bus and start swearing at people and shouting at her in Russian.
This guy knows more about India because he's been there as well. I do want to ask you quite a serious question there, because I wanted to ask, when you have a white person going to India, do you think you're treated different to say other races? So if you were to I've seen that myself.
Big time.
So your country's racist?
Yeah, it is very racist.
Well, no, every people in the world are racist.
No, because one thing I've kind of observed, like through watching things, is that even people that are darker skinned, when they go to India, they'll be treated differently. And if you're white, you're treated like you could just be any old white.
Well, for instance, in India,
does he have priority over you?
So
in your own country?
Would you agree with that? In India, when they see a white person, for some reason, maybe the colonialism still, or there's always been this fascination with light skin for some reason in India through the caste system, and that's pre-colonialism. So you can't just bring the white people. Did you feel that when you was in India?
Right. Well, first thing, the most prejudice Indians have are against Indians from other parts of India. That's the first thing.
Like us.
Like if you go to a different part, they'll go, "Oh, you're rich people from down there, therefore we'll rip you off," or they could be. I mean, for instance, I only eat in Hindu restaurants in India because I'm vegetarian out there. So.
Oh, well done.
Oh, you
so I went to only eat those. But when you go in there, and I'll go into the sort of lower middle class restaurants, the sort of police sergeants or junior clerks in, and I'm the only white guy for miles, and they're just amazed. They'll go, "This is only vegetarian." You go, "Yeah, I know it's only vegetarian," and then they just look at you. They just look at you.
He's done it before. He did it before.
You're on camera, you're thinking,
he did it before. No, he did it before. I had to do like a discllaimer. He's only joking because he doesn't.
But I don't know. Something you don't. I was walking with him. If you know the Hindu
racist,
I was walking through Mumbai and I was a Hindu friend of mine, and he said, "You've been in Mumbai too long." I said, "How do you know?" He said, "You've just touched a cow." Why did you touch a cow? I said, "I don't know. Just everybody seems that you just touched the." You just start putting up habits of people.
You've been in India too long. Your head's wobbling.
Your head's wobbling. You've just given money to that lady boy who's come over to stop her cursing you. Actually, have you ever been on the train and they what are they called? The lady boys. No.
I don't know about stuff like that. I don't know. But let's ask I'm an Indian. Where's I'm an Indian? He might be a lady boy.
But they come on, and you can see because all the Hindu guys are getting out their small coins to pay him off. And all the Muslims go.
and then when they get off the bus, they're the first customers.
No, but the Hindu guys, the Hindu guys are all giving them a coin. Are all giving them a coin to stop them cursing them because they're. So
all right, can we wrap this up because my arms are getting tired?
Yeah, we're going to wrap this up, and then we'll have another conversation with this dude in as well. So, do you come here and speak as corner regularly?
Do you know, not so regularly. I used to. I first came here back in the 1980s.
Yeah.
I am that old, and because I sort of grew up not very far from here, so on and off, I sort of come in and out.
I like this guy. He's very direct.
Yeah, so you like mad people.
I love mad
people. But India's fascinating.
Yeah.
And
from India, there's too many.
Do you know the best thing about India? When you go over there, Indian food's better in India than it is in India. That's the best thing I can tell you.
The best thing about India.
The best thing about India is leaving.
The airport exit.
I thought you was going to say the best thing about India is when you leave. No, I'm joking. India, not Punjab. We love Punjab, man. India's not the same.
Tommy Robinson.
We got Punjab. And we got Tommy Robinson. Anyway, we better leave it then. I'd love to talk to you about Aryan invasion theory next time you're here.
Alright, yeah.
And I'll research a bit more.
About what invasion?
Aryan invasion theory of India.
The whites, basically.
The white man conquering India again.
Alright, can we cut it now?
That's enough. Anyway, man.
Persians. But the Persians are.
What's your name again?
I'm Phil.
The Persians are originally.
That's Phil.
Great to chat to you, man.
Yeah, right.
You're going to be around?
Sometimes.
Come take over everything. From now to
Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Listen.
Okay, fine.
This is an answer for your question.
So I'll defend it. So that's the discussion. Now let's talk about the rules, right?
Go ahead.
So the rules are, I think maybe the best way to do it is if somebody's talking, you let that person talk until they're finished. Absolutely. And then you let the other person talk. Now, if one of us doesn't go according to the rules, the other person has the right to just leave the discussion. He doesn't have to.